everyone. Today we are going to sew up the Fogerty bag. This is a really nice crossbody, smallish size bag with a front pleated pocket, a full zipper opening across the top, and slip-in pockets on the back. If you're in the Hippie Makers Club, oh, and it has an adjustable strap, by the way. You will have all the materials you need, including this custom design cork, the leopard cork, the straps, the interfacing, the zippers, the hardware, the pattern, and printed pattern pieces. This is measure and cut if you don't want to print out pattern pieces at home. If you're just getting the PDF, it's no problem. Very simple, and you can do it. Let's head inside and sew this up together. All right, we are ready to sew the Fogerty bag. I'm gonna take you overhead. I've already cut out my pieces except for the interfacing. So I'm just gonna start with fusing the interfacing and we will carry on. This is a pretty quick make, so I'm excited. I'm thrilled. Aren't you? All right, I'm just opening my SF-101. You would have received a yard pre-packaged in your Hippie Makers box. And I'm gonna open it and let's go overhead. So we're using cork in this bag, so you can interface it if you want to. It's really personal preference. I am not going to, because for me, the cork has enough body. I am gonna cut out SF-101 for my lining pieces. These are the main panel lining pieces. So I just cut two at once there. And let me think. I think the pockets, we're gonna do, the inside pockets will end up being this tall. So I'm just gonna interface that much rather than having the interfacing doubled over when we fold it. Is everyone tracking? Does that make sense? Ramel, did it make sense to you? Good. Oops. I'm cutting two at once just to save some time, but I lifted it up wrong, so now I have to trim this up this way. All right, got that. I'm gonna have lots of interfacing left over, which is great. I have my strapping cut here. This is 54 inches crossbody strap. I have a section of zipper with a pull on ready to go. I'll cut that down later. Okay, so I've got my zipper ready. I've got my strapping ready. I've got some hardware ready to go. My bag will just be mix and match hardware colors because I use what is laying around the shop. I definitely have double-sided sticky tape ready. My mallet in case I need to whack anything down so it's easier to get through the machine. And I did put on my zipper pull with the So Hungry Hippie zipper jig. So I think I'm ready to go. Now let's fuse this SF-101 onto our pieces. Okay, so first up are these lining main panels. Oh, those are the pocket pieces. Okay, so when you're fusing the SF-101, you want your glue dots facing the wrong side of the fabric. And it can be helpful to label your pieces with a little Post-it note, just so you don't get confused. There aren't too many pieces to this pattern, but you know, if you have to walk away, sometimes that's helpful. I always fuse from the right side first, and then I'll flip it over and make sure there's nothing wrong on the other side. And I am on high heat. I will trim the excess SF-101 away. Kind of hard to, there we go. So I didn't see that wrinkle because I need my glasses on right. These are my spare pair and they're sliding down my nose. Come on. There we go. All right, that is fused on. Those, I'll trim those up in just a sec. Now we've got the pocket pieces. I'm gonna fold this now and press. This is how the pocket will sit inside the bag. It's a small crossbody bag, so the pockets can't be huge. Then I'm gonna lay that half sheet of SF-101, the glue is facing up, lay it back down and press. It's adhering really quickly. Love this stuff, it's great. And that will help me keep track of which fabric piece is which too. Pressing it. Here's this. Okay, and now if you are electing to interface your cork pieces, you can go ahead and do that. I would use a Teflon sheet. All right, let's trim the excess interfacing away. And here's this one. Ram, you could probably make this bag, you know. Maybe one of these months we need you to do it. And I'll run the video equipment. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now, if you're gonna sew with one color of thread, I suggest the black with these colors. I'm going to leave my gray mist in because I mean, it's fine for me. I'm just not that picky. If I was using black vinyl, I would switch to black. But with this cork, the gray it'll just melt in, and I'm good with that. Okay, so I've got that over there. I've got these pieces lined up. Here are my two main panels for the exterior. I'm gonna talk about this one as the back because I do not wanna cut into this design at all. So I'm gonna move that out of the way. This is going to be the front, even though when I carry it, I'll probably have the cats on the outside. So just remember, this is how I'm going to talk about it. Okay, I've got my D-ring attachment pieces cut. I've got my accent pieces cut. This is the front of the bag. And where is my pocket piece? I've got to cut the lining piece for this. And it's the same, it's 12 by 4.5. So I'm gonna do it the cheater way. Does anyone ever do this? I lay it down on my work surface and I go like this. Ooh. Why did I make that sound like Halloween or something? I don't know. I am weird. Okay, and I will interface that because I want it to be roughly the same weight as the cork. So I'll just do this. Yeah, good enough. Let's fuse that down. This pocket is kind of fun. It gives a little style element. I'm gonna bring this up to that top edge. You can interface the whole piece. I'm doing this because I use scraps during demos and I know this will be okay. I've been making bags for so long. It will be fine. Mostly interfaced like that. All right, let's take our front pleated pocket pieces. That's these two pieces right here. And we're gonna lay them right sides together and have your clips at the ready tonight because we are going to be using them. Let's sew right across that edge. That's good. I'm gonna press it up. And I kind of give it that finger press and then wrong sides together. And then when you do this, you want to come along the top here and press that, squeeze that seam allowance with your fingers because the cork does make it a little bit thicker. You could absolutely press your seam open if you want to. I just have never noticed a huge benefit with doing that. So I tend to not do that. On garments, I notice it, but on bags, I don't see it. So here we are, and pressing that down. And now we're gonna top stitch right across there, and we'll baste these edges so that it's easier to pleat the pocket. Okay, top stitching first. There's the top stitch. Now I'm going to turn it up to 4.5, and I'm basting these edges. And if it's easier for you to look at the lining to make sure you're catching everything, that's fine. You can flip it over. Okay, there we are. Just gonna clean up this edge a little. Okay. Now we have to make our pleated lines. And what we're gonna do here is go 2 inches in. I'm not gonna use the ruler as my guide right now. I'm gonna use the mat. Okay, I'm gonna make a marking at the 2. I'm using chalk. And a marking at the 4-inch line from that left raw edge. See that? And now I'm going to do the same thing. I like to turn it so I can really see what I'm doing. I do move my ruler over a little bit so that my marking is right on the edge where I want it. If I were to lay my ruler on the marking, I'd be, at least a little fatter than 1/8 of an inch over, and that's not what I want to do. Now I'm making mine really dark so you can see them. You don't have to do that. Okay, here's the top edge. Don't forget the top is at the top. Let's fold at that 2-inch marking. We're going to pinch it, and we're going to top stitch that fold. Here we go. If it helps you to whack this down with your mallet first, please do it. I gotta turn my stitch back. See that? That's what we want. We're gonna do the same thing over here. There's that, okay. Now we're gonna take it to the 4-inch mark, all right, and use some clips to hold it in place. And we're only gonna top stitch, well, not top stitch, we're gonna go back and forth here, and we're gonna go back and forth here within the seam allowance. And we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Bring that 2-inch fold to the 4-inch. The top edge will feel a little bit thick because of the way we sewed the pocket lining to the pocket, but that's okay, just hammer it down. And then what I would love you to do is to either hold it out from you and make sure your pockets are up and down and not crooked, or put it down on your table if that helps you more, and do that. Now, if my sewing machine was being ornery, that helps a lot. No joke. No joke. Yay! There we go. Right up here and right down here. Just to hold those pleats in place. If you rather rivet, of course you can. You can put some rivets in there if you want. I just went back and forth a few times to hold that pleat. If your machine is ornery with layers, you could also use a hump jump back here to keep your foot level, and or start up in the bulk and then go backwards and forwards. Okay, so now we can trim our threads and yada yada, remove the chalk marks, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff, you know, the boring stuff that matters a lot. Okay, well, they're mostly straight. I guess that one I could have brought over a tiny smidge more, but I'm not gonna hate on it. We're gonna place our main body bag piece right here. And then let's place our ruler 1.5 inches up from that bottom edge. And that's where we want to place our pocket. Now I'm gonna fold my pocket in half. You know how I do this, right? If you've been with me at all, you know how I like to do my centers. I find that center crease, which is gonna be hard for you all to see. So let me see if I can make it any better. Maybe I'll just do a little snip. And a snip. Okay. I don't think that's any better, is it? On camera. There's my center. Here's my center here. And 1.5 inches up from the bottom. There we are. Okay, now since this is cork, I am going to place double-sided sticky tape on the back side here so that it will hold it in place for me while I'm sewing. I do put this within the seam allowance. It doesn't gum up my needle, it doesn't hurt anything. If you need to do it a different way, like maybe little pieces outside of it, you can absolutely do that. Do whatever you need to do for you. There's one. There's two. Make sure I have my top edge up here. Raw edges are down here. Don't worry, we're going to take care of those. And center to center. There we go. Yep, it's holding. We're going to sew the sides and across the bottom. I'm gonna go back and forth here a few times. Pivoting, lifting my foot, leaving the needle down. Lifting the foot, needle is down, drop the foot. All right, so now on that raw edge, we are going to cover that bottom raw edge with one of our accent pieces. So this is just a 1/2 inch tall and 12 across, and I'm going to put some double-sided sticky tape down so that it doesn't budge at all when I'm sewing it. Sometimes long skinny pieces want to wiggle all over the place. And just cover that edge. It's not, you don't have to be too nitpicky, and make sure it's straight. However, because we're working with the leopard print, it's so nice because it's very forgiving. You know, it's not like your eyeballs will pick up on if you're a millimeter microscopically off or something. That's why I love leopard print. And I see that down here, I base stitched a little too high up. So I'm gonna take those stitches out. And again, the leopard, it just hides any holes. So no worries, it's like low stress for once. Okay, now I will sew a little rectangle down here, and you might not be able to see it because it's so camouflagey. Am I on a 3? Yeah. Needle down, lift the foot, pivot, and same. Oh, I gotta back it up. Back it up, jump. Back it up. Okay. Awesome. There's the first part of the pocket. Now let's make the little flap-a-doodle-doo at the top. So this is our flap, 3 inches by 9. Let's go overhead. You are going to fold this wrong sides together in half, and we'll top stitch this, and we'll sew around the open edges. So if you want to start with an open edge first, that's fine. Let's go. And here's the top stitch, the folded edge. I'm going to turn it up to 3.5. And there's our flap, turning it back down to 3. Let's come back over. And what we're going to do is the raw edge goes towards the top of the bag. The folded edge goes over the pocket. Capiche? Now we got to get this on centered. And I like to put double-sided sticky tape up here at that raw edge. Here we are. I'm just trimming my threads here. I don't know why I'm using the biggest scissors possible to do that, but I am. Apparently I like a challenge. Okay, raw edge up. Now for the way I placed my pocket, if you're following the pattern, this is 2 inches down from the top raw edge and centered on the pocket. So if you place it and you look at it and you don't feel like it's centered, lift it up and reposition. It's fine. I think mine is pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go overhead and stitch it down right across the top. You don't stitch down the sides, only that top edge. And then don't worry, we're gonna cover that top edge. Here we go. All right, look at that, looking good. Okay, we're gonna take it back overhead. Here's our 1/2 inch accent piece. You see how it covers the raw edge, but it just kind of melts into the leopard. Isn't that wild? If you wanted it to stand out, you could always do your accent piece in black or something else if you really want it to pop. I just want it to melt in to the bag. Okay, here we go. Let's place it. And this is all the way across, so you don't have to worry about centering it. Just place it and give it a check to make sure. If I put my top edge on a line, then I can see that my accent piece, that next line is going right through the center of my accent piece. Okay, now I know it's even. Even Steven, or is it not? Dun, dun, dun. Man, the leopard is so camouflage. It's really hard to tell if I have this good to go.
That's why they're the ninjas.
The ninjas of the jungle,
Yeah.
the leopard. Leopards can live in, like on savannas too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like grassy savannas, yeah. But they can also live in jungles. That's so adaptive. All right. Oh, it wants me all over the place. Might have to, oh, I just hit a bump. Sorry. I may have done a jiggle that wiggle there. So that's why you want to use a thread that really melts into the camouflage. I would do this in black for sure. Black or gold. All right, there we are. So now we have got our little cute pleated pocket. And that side is done. And this side is done. So now we're on to the lining. This is gonna be so fast. Remember how we had our pockets pre-folded because we fused the interfacing? We're so good. We're just gonna top stitch that fold now. Let's go to the machine. Here we go. And now I'm gonna do this one. All right, I gotta trim these bad babies up. They are bumping next door with those tunes. Dang, USO. Those are some partiers if I ever heard. Huh? BFW? Oh, I was going to say the USO. The USO. Oh my God. They're the ones who greeted us after landing overseas. The USO. Yeah. BFW. Let's place our beautiful pocket 2.5 inches up from the bottom edge of the lining main panel. So let's see, is this, yeah, this is a 2.5 inch ruler. So I can just do that. And I'm just gonna do that. It's centered. And I'm gonna sew and sew all the way down. Now, do you see how some of my interfacing is poking out? No problem. We're gonna tuck it. This is just fabric. So let me show you I love to do this because it's a very fast fix and it works every time. Okay, here we go. We're gonna pink the side edges of our pocket, just a smidge. You don't have to take much off, see that? And then we bring it to our ironing surface and tuck it to the back. That'll get sewn down when we attach the pocket. So if this is bugging you, like having that not sit down properly, you can always do some double-sided sticky tape right here and have it hold down for you. It's not a problem. I typically don't because we're gonna sew it on in just a second, but if tools help, use them, right? So there's that. And there's that. It's about 1/4 inch over, okay? And then we're gonna do the same over here, 1/4 inch. You could also use clips, whatever works. Okay, so now we're coming back over. We've got our main panel here. We've got our ruler 2.5 inches up from the bottom. And we are centering. Now on this, we can use pins because this is all fabric. So I'm gonna grab my little magic pins here. And I'm catching that seam. Actually, I'm gonna go like this because I will sew it on and I'll be able to pull my pin out really easily. Uh-oh, did I get it crooked? There we go. Okay, let's take it to the machine and sew. I always go over the top corners a few times. If you like to do a fancy little rectangle, you can do that as well. Or I mean, triangle. The three, oh, whatever, let me stop babbling. Don't worry about this raw edge, we're gonna handle it. Our pocket piece is attached. Let's go overhead. Now, you had some leftover cork, right? We're gonna do another 1/2 inch piece right here. It's gonna be great, and it kind of ties the bag together. So I did not cut my little extra pieces here, so now I've got 2. 1/2 inch. You could also, if you don't want to use cork, you can use bias tape or twill tape. Very simple, you can absolutely do that. We need one for each bottom lining pocket like this, okay? It's kind of a fun little decorative element, but it also ties the bag together with the outside. I like it. Little accent pieces. All right, there's that. Just make sure it's even and you're not stretching. Let's sew it. I'm just gonna take one pass down the center. And you know why? because Ram and I have a movie date tonight. Tron. I'm gonna hold you to it. Okay, let's do the next pocket. It's exactly the same. So let's do this. We're gonna go 2.5 inches up. There we are. Oops, I gotta trim this baby up. I didn't catch the extra interfacing over here. Use your ruler. Don't go rogue like I did. Oh. Okay, there it is. Is this pin good? Yes. This side. Okay, oh, I didn't treat my edges, Rom. You were supposed to catch me. Rom, like, really? Maybe it's just too cold in here. Because it is for real cold in here. Although, I am reading this book called The Terror, and it's set in the Arctic Circle, and they're talking about things like when they go outside, if they're not covered, they have frostbite within 10 seconds, like crazy, like 60 below zero Fahrenheit.
What planet is that?
Huh?
What planet is that?
That's Earth, honey, in the Arctic Circle, where only polar bears are supposed to be. Okay, let's go machine. Oh, tell me I didn't sew that wrinkle. No, I didn't. Oh, good thing I'm covering it with an accent piece. Come on, paper. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go right down the center because I'm feeling lazy today. Oh, oh, oh. You can do the rectangle like I show in the pattern. Okay. Now we got our two linings done. We got our exteriors done as well. Time to put this bag together. Let's do our D-ring attachments next. So we've got our 1-inch D-rings. And we've got our 2 Scrapalicious pieces of cork. No, it is not time for Christmas carols. I have that elf one in my head constantly for a week. Bum, 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 bum. You know that one? Da-da-da-da-da.
Sort of.
Let's go overhead. So we take our cute little D-ring attachments and we fold them in half and sew them down. Let's go to the machine. There's 2. Okay, now we're gonna put these through our D-rings, such as this. Now, this is this is where we can choose to sew them on, rivet them on, whatever you want. For right now, I'm gonna move this to the side because I like to add the placement after I've got the bag pretty much together. So a lot of times in the past, I would do it like this, and then this would fold up, but I'm not gonna do it that way on this bag. This is already a small bag, and I can't make it smaller by taking a huge chunk of seam allowance at the top. So let's place our zipper first, and then we'll worry about what we're doing there. Okay, a little bit of a new technique on this one today. Bear with me. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I encourage you to always test your skills and push yourself. Can you get in there, Rom? Okay. So what we're gonna do is fold like this. Can you see that? And we're gonna tack it down with the machine right there. Now, I don't know if this clip will hold it for me that well. It can kind of be fiddly, but the end result is so worth it. There's that side. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, now I'm gonna take it to the machine. I'm turning my stitch length way down to like a 1. And I gotta get this in here so that the clip doesn't mess up my needle. There we go. It's moving ahead a little bit, but not much. See that? It's gonna hold it like that for me. Now we're gonna do this side. See that? Okay. Now I'm gonna do my double-sided sticky tape. And we're gonna put this on the bag right there so I can stop my double-sided sticky tape right here. And then the tail we're gonna put on, you can either do a tab or you can do the hardware piece that I've given you. Super simple. What's the worst that can happen when we're sewing anyways? We mess up a project, like big deal. Start again. Okay, now I'm gonna trim that thread. And this is gonna go right sides down. This one first. I'm gonna peel away that paper. Okay, there's that. Now bring it way over. You see that? You're way over here. You can leave yourself a little bit like, I'm putting it at the 1/4 inch mark from the edge. Can you get in there and see how close that is? Okay. I want it very close for you because then there won't be a hole when you go to zip your bag shut. And if you want to, let's kind of angle it off like this. That will give a better looking result. Okay, are we there? These teeth are nylon. Just be careful. If you need to hand crank, you can. Sometimes if you hit it wrong, it can break a needle, but in general, you can sew right over these teeth. Just be careful. Okay, let's go to the machine. angling it off a smidge. I'm going to start with my needle down. There's that. And if you want to put on a zipper foot, that's great. I don't have a zipper foot on, so I'm going to lift my foot and move the pull out of the way. Okay, there's one side. Now you're going to take a lining piece and you're going to put it right sides together and make sure that your sides are lined up. Okay, we're going to sew this down. I should have put my clips the opposite way because the flat side is on the bottom. I want to look at the line I just sewed and sew either right on it or right past it. Just a smidge. Here we are. All right, so now we're going to press that up. Press the seam allowance down. I am picking up threads everywhere. Make sure that this fabric is down, pressing down. Make sure your pocket is on correctly. And top stitch. Here we go. All right. Time to add the other side. Make sure this baby is right sides up because this is directional. Here's this side. And we're going to flip it and match up these sides first. And then place that raw edge along that top raw edge of the cork. Now we're going to sew all the way across there. Now I'm getting close to where that pull is. So I'm just going to reach in there and move it. Okay, now we come back. We're still looking at the lining, okay? I'm going to trim some threads. Here's the side we just added, but we want to be looking at the lining, and we're grabbing the second lining and placing it right sides together with the other lining. And then use clips to hold in place, and we'll flip this over to sew this lining piece down. All right, here we go. If you need to go slow here because of those teeth at the beginning, it's all right. I feel like there's the pull, yep. So I'm gonna lift my foot, get it out of the way, put it back down. All right. Now I'm gonna push that up, and I'm gonna separate these first and push them down. flip it, push it down. I have got a million threads all over the place tonight. And then we're going to top stitch this side down. Let's take it to the machine. You want to make the stitch a little bit bigger, like 3.5 or 4, that's cool. Just make sure that you are sewing that seam allowance going towards the bottom of the bag. That'll keep all that fabric out of the way of the zipper and how it functions. Okay. There we are. Now let's cut our boxed corners, and this is almost ready to be all the way put together. All right, let's go overhead. So this is a very different kind of boxed corner, but just trust the process. It works. I've made this bag several times. We're gonna make 1 inch wide, but only 1/2 inch tall. And it's not gonna be symmetrical as we fold it, but it works. It really does work. 1 inch wide, 1/2 inch tall. So I know that's going to be really hard for us to see on camera, but I'm doing the lining and the exterior at the same time. See? See what a weird boxed corner, right? It is weird, but it works. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side. I've got my lining and exterior together here. Not sewn together, just placed. And I'm going to draw 1 inch and 1/2 inch tall, 1 inch wide, 1/2 inch tall. And I'm using the lines on my cutting mat. Okay, we've got our boxed corners. Make sure this is open at least halfway. And then you're going to take your exteriors and bring them right sides together. Take this zipper and fold it in some. Just tuck it in there. We're not going to sew over that right now, but I do put a clip here. Okay, so there's that. And then I'll throw some pins for the lining. We do want to keep an opening in the bottom of the lining so that we can turn the bag right side out in a few minutes. So I'm gonna do here to here. I'm doing a 5-inch opening there. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is baste stitch this closed and then unpick it with my scalpel, because then when I go to turn it back under, it behaves really nicely. Now, coming up to here, I want you to, my head's gonna be in the way. I want you to make a mark 1/2 inch from that top edge on this side, and 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch on that side. What we're gonna do is we're gonna sew up this side, but stop here, jump over to here, and start sewing again down. Don't worry about leaving this open at the moment. We'll fix that in a bit. All right, let's sew this baby together. Now, because I know I'll forget, I know myself, I'm gonna baste right here first and then switch my stitch length in just a second. So I'm turning it way up to a 4.5. Baste stitching this opening. Now I'm gonna turn it back down. Really make sure that you lock stitch there and here. Now we're coming up to here, and it will feel a little fiddly, but you've got this. If you want to hand crank, because that's where we've curved off our zipper, you can. Look, it's fine to hand crank. It'll keep moving forward. It's not moving, is it?
It is moving,
Very slowly.
but it's moving.
Okay. Well, patience is a virtue, I'm told. There we go. I can feel it right there. That's good. I'm just going to keep hand cranking over, even though I could probably mow it with this machine and that zipper. I just don't want to take a chance. Okay, we're past the zipper now. I'm going to go back to the pedal. Ouch, just poked myself. Now remember, we're going to stop and hop over that zipper area and come down here. Just skip right over it at the moment, for the moment. All right, let's go back overhead.
Stop. What are we gonna do with the strap? Loose strap.
They go on last. Okay, so now I can open that bottom basted stitch area quite easily. I can just get it started. There we go. And before we go too far along, we're going to do our boxed corners. Now I want you to see how this looks because it's very different than any boxed corner I've ever done. So this is how it's going to look. You're going to match that bottom seam with the side seam and you're going to press it, and this is what it's going to look like. And that's okay. We're sewing up here, right here. All the way across, and you will see that. I know it's different. Don't panic. It works. Get it flat, get it behaving, and we're gonna go right across there. I'm gonna take it to the machine and do my lining. And then this side. And we'll do the same with the cork. Just make sure you get those seams matched up and flat. Okay. So if it makes you feel better to use a ruler, I stitched right at 3/4 of an inch from the outer thing there. All right, now I'm going to do the cork. It's a small bag, so you got to kind of get your hand in there. And one side, looking from the bottom seam is probably going to be easier for most people. And it will take a little finagling. Oh my gosh, Ramel, my nose is so cold. That's all I can think about. We gotta fix this building somehow. Okay, and here's this one pinched down. Okay, and the same thing. We're just gonna sew right across there. Another reason I'm not using interfacing on this cork is it could be kind of thick for a lot of you to sew. And I'm not in the mood for that, are you? All right, it's gonna trim it a smidge so that I don't have extra bulk down there. Okay, you can do the same on the lining. All right, let's turn this baby out. Hopefully I left a big enough opening for turning. And then we're gonna put on our D-rings, and we're gonna put on our thingamajig, whatever that's called, zipper stop. And do our strap. Just gonna push some of this out of the way here. And Ramel will fast forward this part because this is gonna take me a minute. Okay, bring in your fingernails and push those corners out. There they are. And then we're gonna do the same up here. You gotta bring in your fingernail and don't push too hard because we curved it off, remember? We curved it off like that. Push that one out. And then we're gonna come over here to this stink. Oh, that's the butt. Here's the front. There's the butt. So I don't know if I can say that, but I mean, that's how I think of it. So the purpose of doing it this way is it gives you a bigger opening. Now, if it annoys you, if you're cussing at me right now, you can always do a zipper tab on that end if it's easier for you. It's totally fine. I just like to test new techniques, new ways. I do not have a hole here. Where we jumped over and skipped, the zipper fills in. There is no gap, there is no hole here. If you have one, then that's another thing and we'll have to fix it. But I do not. And I didn't on my other 2 bags either. So I think it'll be fine for you. Okay, I'm tucking in the bottom there where I base stitched. Can we go overhead? And I'm gonna press this. My iron is probably cold now. Guess we don't. Here's this. I'm gonna press it. And now I'm gonna shut it. Okay. I'm gonna tuck this down in. And just take a minute to get those corners and sides fully in place. Oh, I love how it's looking, don't you? It's like a straight-sided zipper pouch almost, but it's our crossbody bag. Okay, so now you have to decide what is best for you regarding placement of your D-rings. So I like to put them on last because what I'm gonna do is cut them down a smidge. Let's go overhead and I'll show you this. I really like rivets instead of sewing. So if you're not sewing and you can have some space here, this is what I like to do. I put one on this side and one on the back. And that gives me a balanced bag when I'm wearing it crossbody. And because it's one long strap, it does not get in my way when I go in and out of the bag. Now, if you don't like that method, you could always put it on the side seam as well. Same, it doesn't matter, do what's best for you. Okay. I'm gonna rivet mine down. Should I do the side seam or should I do front and back, Rom?
Front.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is grab my rivet and my hole punch. Here we are. Now I have this table press because I love it. It's way easier than a hand tool. Can you do it with a hand tool? Can you just sew these on? Absolutely, 100%. So you do you. I am first gonna punch my hole in the middle of my D-ring attachment. Oh, darn it, I took my rivets in the other room. Let me go get them. We're almost there. Aren't you glad? I'm ready. Should we go overhead? All right, so I punched my holes and I've got to punch a hole here, but I like to look at it first and I like to have it way over to the side. So I'm going to punch it right through here. make the hole. This is gonna go right through there. You've got rivets in your box if you're part of the Hippie Makers Club box. There it is. There it is. And now I'm gonna set it. One at a time. Come on, yo. Make sure you're in the cradle and it's straight, and there it is. That's permanent. That's not going anywhere ever. See that? All right, let's go to the other side. I want it on this side. I need to trim this one down. And you don't have to. I just like the look when it's trimmed down some like that. I'm gonna get it in the center. I'm gonna put the post through and through. And then I'm gonna place it. Yeah, that looks good. Punch it over here. Put the hole through. And put the cap on. There, I can kind of squeeze it on so it stays, but that's not permanent. So then I've got to set it. Cat's in the cradle with the silver spoon. Na 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 na, the man on the moon. Okay. No, that wasn't in. I could tell that was not in the cradle. There it goes. Okay. Awesome. It's in there. Okay, so 1 and 1 like this. And now we're gonna do our strap and we're done. Woohoo! All right, let's bring the webbing over. Go overhead, Rom. And I'm gonna do it my way because it's the way that I know how to do it. I'm gonna tuck this under. This is very thin webbing, but strong. It's almost all nylon. So you can tuck it under there and we're gonna sew right across just to secure. Let's do it. I'm gonna Sharpie that thread so it's not so obvious that I didn't change my thread. Okay, let's go back over here. Trim my threads. And now I've got this one. Up and over the bar. And around this swivel, bringing it back around, making some space here. Gonna go up and over that bar again. And bring it on down. And now since this is really thin, I can just tuck it under. Only to that bottom, and I'm gonna sew right there. Now, I kind of have a lot of flap there. Okay, ready for the thing that's gonna send some people into the stratosphere. Here we go. Let's do it. My head is always in the way. She's so big-headed. despite what people email me about, this Sharpie is permanent. I've never had it come off. That's why it's called a permanent marker. But you do you, boo. We got black thread, use it. Now I've got an adjustable slider. Okay, and here it goes to my bag. Here it goes on the other side. Boom! And there we have it. It can be your crossbody bag if you want to do that. When I travel, a lot of times I have my crossbody like way up here. Need my passport. So there's that. Now, if I was carrying it and my phone was in that pocket, I'd probably carry it like this because rawr. Right? Oh, I got a headache now with that hair being up. All right. We did it. 10 degrees outside. We did it. Woo! All right, I want to see your bags. Post them in the makers group. Let's go. Peace of sewing.